What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Jay Talks Hoops. So let's talk about Stephanie White and the coaching she's done this year. I understand that Caitlin Clark just got back yesterday. Some people are saying she's still getting back into game shape, but I've got my concerns about this team. I'm sure you do as well. And in this press conference, Stephanie White didn't take any type of accountability. It seemed like she was just calling out the players. And I understand you want to do that as a coach. She decided to start Ari McDonald over Lexi Hall. And when you look at the matchup against the Golden State Valkyries, look at the height on their guards. Kate Martin, 6 foot. You have Veronica Burton, 5'9". You have Tiffany Hayes, 5'10". And Ari McDonald is listed at 5'6". Lexi Hall, 6'1". Caitlin Clark, 6 foot. Lexi Hall is one of your best defenders. She's a better knockdown shooter. And McDonald just got to the Fever 2 weeks ago. And this was Caitlin Clark's first game back in the starting lineup. Wouldn't it be smart to play alongside Lexi Hall, where they've already built some chemistry over the past season? They had another bad fourth quarter. We'll get into that a little bit later. I want to play a little bit what Stephanie White had to say here.
Steph, they were coming in here talking about lack of focus, lack of knowing the game plan. How do you summarize kind of what you saw out there?
I was disappointed because I felt like there was a lack of competitive fire. With the exception of about 2 5-minute spurts, our attention to detail was poor. I'm not sure if it's not knowing the game plan as much as, because if it's not knowing the game plan, then that's a whole nother conversation, as much as not executing the game plan. Our attention.
But is the competitive fire just on the players, or is it also on the coach? Because let me show you some of the fourth quarter habits that the Fever have been showing out there. And let's go back to June 19th, because this is where, I don't know if it started at this game, but let me show you the numbers where they lost the Valkyries. And you're going to see just what I'm going to say here in a moment. The Valkyries outscored them 33-18, 18 points by the Fever in the fourth quarter. Again, you want to be a winning basketball team, you got to produce when it counts the most. Let's go to the next game against the Aces, where they had a lead and lost it. But in that fourth quarter against the Aces, they actually had a lead and they got outscored 31-20 in the fourth quarter. Then let's go to the Seattle game, where they did beat the Storm and they got outscored in the fourth quarter 28-19, even though they won the game. Noticing a trend here. Let's go to the Sparks game on June 26th. They got outscored by the Sparks 35-17. Now, I understand Caitlin Clark was hurt in some of these games, but notice the habits that the Fever have been building when it's time to win basketball games. Let's move on to the Dallas Wings. They won this game, but they only scored 20 points. So they're not doing well in the fourth quarters. They've been really bad in the most important quarter of the game. Let's keep on going here. We go to the Vegas, they blew them out. I'm not going to bother that. But in their loss against the Sparks outscored them 19-18. Really since June 19th, I don't know the previous games, what their habits are looking like. Fourth quarters have been abysmal. Played Golden State yesterday. The Fever only scored 10 points. Now, I understand they were down 13, but they cut it to 5 points. I think it was about 2 or 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and the Valkyries pushed it up to 13. You still had a shot to come back in that fourth quarter. So is that all in the players or the coach keeping them fired up? Because they've had these and they've blown them. I know Caitlin Clark hasn't played in all those games. I understand that. But you can't just put down the players. Like, the competitive fire also has to come from your leader. That needs to be addressed from the coach as well. I know she hasn't said it. Hopefully she's talking about it in the locker room, but that's not how you want to address this situation, because the team is 9-10. I know there's plenty of basketball left, but time is running out for this team to really start taking that next leap. Because remember, when you are building a roster and you're trying to win consistently, you got to get enough drills out there on the basketball court. It's different than practicing. You want to get in the habit of playing together. You want to gel together and mesh well. And if you're not sharp enough, when you get to the playoffs, you get exposed. And that might happen to this Fever team. They might not get enough reps in, and they might not be good enough either. It's just the hard facts. But I think this team should be better than 9-10, because you look at those fourth quarter numbers, that's abysmal. And there's no excuse for that.
To detail, undisciplined. I felt like our energy and our competitive fire was not there, and that's disappointing.
Why do you think you had some of these inconsistencies when it comes to focus and engagement, things like that?
I'd say discipline more so than focus. I think this is a group that focuses. But you can focus, and then you have to be able to go out and be disciplined enough to execute it, right? I'm not sure. We're as coaches, that's our job to figure it out. Why it is. You've seen it in spurts. You've seen it in moments. You've seen it with certain lineups. So for us, finding those lineups that we have it.
If you've seen it with certain lineups and you've gone away from that, what are we doing? They had Caitlin Clark playing off the ball. Again, that's not her style. You need her running your offense. And when you're going up against a team like the Valkyries, who, again, have a lot of confidence playing them this year, they feel really good in that matchup, and they won the regular season matchup, which is going to help them for playoff position. You got to wonder to yourself, is this coach going to make any adjustments? I understand you want to try new things. That's fine. But do it in the second quarter, not to start the game. That ruins the flow of the lineup that's used to playing together, and it gets people out of sync and out of rhythm. You want to experiment with something? That's fine. But don't start the game that way because it sets the wrong tone for your team.
That we've seen it with consistently and maybe keeping those together. There's always going to be adjustments when you're working people back into the lineup. There's no question about that. But the competitiveness and the attention to detail.
She's not wrong. It will take a little bit of time to get Caitlin Clark back up to speed. However, don't make drastic adjustments to your starting lineup. That doesn't make any sense to me because Caitlin Clark is used to playing with Aaliyah Boston, with your Lexi Hall, your Kelsey Mitchell. I understand that she hasn't played enough with Sophie Cunningham. I know that Bonner left the team and she hasn't played enough for Ari McDonald, but put them in situations where they can learn and succeed and not put a ton of pressure on them. Starting the game, you're like, what are you doing? Lexi Hall is a taller guard. And it's a better matchup, and it gets your team off to a better start. Now, they did start off well, and then the Valkyries came back. Valkyries tend to start slow, and they pick up their pace. They had 16 turnovers, and they still won the game. And we go back to those fourth quarter performances. It's been abysmal. I don't know what the numbers look like before then, but since June the 19th, it's been terrible. Hasn't been a sight to see. So they've got some bad habits going on. Caitlin Clark's been in and out of the lineup. The new pieces they've added in Cunningham and Howard, they haven't played enough together with Caitlin Clark. So it's a combination of different things. But you talk about competitive fire. Why was the team able to play well in the Commissioner's Cup? Why were they able to have a great performance against the Liberty when Caitlin Clark made her return? It's inconsistencies. And the fourth quarter needs to be addressed, needs to be talked about. So they've been bad in that area. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what Stephanie White had to say about the lack of competitiveness and the lack of fire from the Fever. Are you concerned about them right now? Do you think they're going to figure things out? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.